Hi everyone, welcome to a tactics video. This time I'm reviewing my performance at a 32-person RT last weekend where I managed to come third. So a good result for me. I'll go through my army list, the games I've played in those 3 games, and then some reflections on what I'll probably play in the next few games with a bit of an adjusted list. So if you're new to my channel, I'll cover everything Astra Militarum, from the hobby aspect, the lore of Astra Militarum, and also 40k. And likewise also tactical videos like this where I bring a relaxed but competitive approach to 140,000. So straight into my list, it was using combined arms. And something I constantly joke with other people is that there are loads of other detachments now we can use. Hammer of the Emperor, Mechanized Assault, Bridgehead Strike Force, Siege and Recon. And I've tried a few of the other ones, and basically I always come back to combined arms because basically I like boring Warhammer. So I like to play very sequenced and structured play. If you get me to disembark from transport and jump back in, that type of thing, I just can't make it work. So I just find combined arms really good for my play style, but I know a lot of other players having a lot of success with other of the new detachments. But anyway, so this is the list. Basically anything in blue is headquarter style units, orange is battle line, purple is a transport. This is non-battle line infantry, then vehicles. So the list is Ursula with Cadian Command Squad and 10 Cadians for the classic Command Squad 24-inch bubble order range. And also Ursula is really good with the free stratagem once per battle round, -1 CP on a stratagem per battle round. It's in a Scion Death Blob, and in this loadout I take actually a med pack in the Scion Command Squad, and then I take in the Scion Squad a Power Fist, Plasma Pistol, 2 Plasma Guns, and 2 Hotshot Volley Guns. And the thinking with that over, say, Melter Guns is that I want this squad to be good at dealing with elite infantry, and I value 5 hotshot volley gun shots versus 1 melter shot, yeah? Because obviously you give it +1 on the rapid fire, you get a lot of shots coming out of it, so I basically went for more shots over better quality shots in the melter. Then a Regal Dawn Tank Commander, a very solid unit, obviously with multi-melters, melters on the front, little nipple melters, and of course all the big good guns like the damage 3 belly cannon and main cannon. Gaunt's Ghost, a fantastic mission play unit. You can check out a video how to use this unit in the link here, whichever side it is. Check that out for actually how to use that unit. And then onto battle line, these are all 10-man squads. Jungle Fighters, Death Corps. One of the Jungle Fighters is in a Taurox for the scout move. It's in 2 mortar squads, which are Catagen. Death Corps of Krieg Engineers. And the heavy hitters are 2 Limeras battle tanks, a Limeras Exterminator for the autocannon, and then a Punisher Leman Russ. And these have got multi-melters, and this has got a plasma cannon, and the Punisher's got triple flamer. Now, so this list, as you look at it, feels quite, well, it's quite a balanced guard list. It obviously has no melee, but guard has no melee. There's no Death Riders, not that you play those much, no Attilan Rough Riders, and no Bolgrams. But definitely I probably have got to a place where I can manage nasty melee armies for basically good screening and hitting them with tanks. Now, just to jump to heavy armor quickly, I think this obviously these tanks mostly lack AP on the main cannons. Obviously, multi-melters and plasma cannons are a very good AP choice, and obviously you can stack on the Exterminator the extra AP, and likewise you can use Fields of Fire stratagem. Now, one key consideration here is given none of these main weapons are above strength 10, it means into heavy armor or big monsters, you're basically wounding on 5. Now, obviously, Exterminator gets twin linked, but crucially, what makes this work is in combined arms, you obviously get lethal hits. So lethal hits, I think, are obviously a force multiplier. They've always been a force multiplier. And I think if I wasn't playing combined arms, I'd be worried I could take out most nasty big things in inverted commas, like high toughness targets. But in this tournament, I actually came up against a few of those, and just the way it sort of works out sometimes. Now, Limeras Punisher, you may be looking at thinking, what is that? And that was simply because I had the points left over in the list to go from a Hellhound to Limeras Punisher. Now, I'm really not sure about this. I found it definitely isn't as reliable to kill infantry. You know, triple flamers is cute. You know, you've got 3d6, 5, 1, 1 auto hitting, and then the Punisher Gatling is obviously 20 shots at 6, 0, 1 with dev wounds, which is very tasty. But But I use the chem cannon on the Hellhound and typically find the chem cannon is more reliable to kill stuff because obviously you've got D6+1 and infantry 2+ than all the DACA that came out of this thing. I mean, to be fair, probably did as much DACA, as much damage because you would get a fair few hits on the flamers and you would get some dev runes through, which is obviously very nice. But I'm really not sure about this unit. Because obviously the Hellhound buffs the wider army, obviously strips cover, but this model just acts independently. But that being said, obviously the higher toughness does help sometimes, I think. And also the extra 2 wounds doesn't sound like a lot, but now I think about it, it actually will be enough to basically, you know, into some damage profiles, basically leave it alive on a wound or 2 wounds. Obviously you go from 11 to 12 to 13 wounds, and that extra 2 wounds can often mean you survive on more phases of getting bashed by a power fist. Now the other ones to talk about is obviously mortar squads, Catagen and Death Corps engineers. Now these were both taken for the anti-orc and anti-eldar meta. Now in the games I played none of those. I played basically all Space Marines. Now this is a point of optimization. Is probably one of these. I think taking them as Catagen is good because then they can obviously scout and move. They're an early screen, and obviously against, you know, monsters and vehicles, you are getting real ones to hit and wound, which is helpful sometimes. And the other one I'm really not sure about, which is a massive shame because I just finished panning my 5 blokes, is the Death Corps engineers. At 70 points, I think they just are too expensive. You know, and I will look at as I said at the end of the video, I'll look at what I think they should go into. And a bit of a teaser, but I would basically say you'd better off just taking more battle line in combined arms. Yeah, I mean in these matchups they actually did manage to always pop the remote mine, but given I've got Ursula and she can use grenades for free for some within 12, it's almost like I don't need them in this current list. So these basically 3 units are the potential areas of optimization is these 3 here. Now, 2 jungle fighters, they're thorough. They're just very good for the scout one and Taurox. Death Corps engineers are a thoroughly good unit because obviously if they leave 5, leave 1 unit behind, 1 model behind, you can heal them back. But obviously OC2 is very powerful. And as I said, Silent Death Blobs will continue to be a good choice. So that's the list. Now let's go to the 3 games. Now these are all UKTC. And the first mission was at Purge the Foe. So kill more, hold more, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4. So you could actually score 16 in a turn if you manage to kill more and hold more. And also Smoke and Mirrors, where you can basically put more into strategic reserves. Now, I played into Death Guard. I mean, I've got my opponent's list, lovely guy called John. And basically, I mean, Death Guard, obviously, I think they follow a pretty similar structure of list, but they're the Biologist Purifier, who's like the Melt the Flamer dude, Foul Blight Spawn, I can't tell what these, Lord of Contagions, Mortarian, the big evil Primarch, and Typhus, who was attached to a load of Poxwalkers. It's then crap loads of Plague Marines in a Rhino, Death Guard Cultist ×2, 2 Predator Annihilators with their laser cannons, all laser cannons, and then 2 Death Shroud Terminator Blobs. So this is where they basically pack a massive punch. This is a horrible unit to deal with, a very resilient unit, because they get -1 to wound against higher toughness stuff, and they got a 4 up with 3 wounds. And when they connect, they will delete pretty much anything. And then 2 of the little crab cars, Mystic Blight Haulers, which are actually quite deceptively... they're quite good because they've got multi-melters, and then when they hit sort of vehicles, they get +1 to it. And then a massive blob of Poxwalkers attached to Typhus. And basically the gimmick there is if you don't clear them in 1 activation, they get into combat with you, they actually will heal back models as they kill your dudes in combat. It's super cool. Now, I'm not going to go through how John deployed, but you can see my deployment, and I'll talk about how the game basically played out. And we'll look at my scores, obviously, in a second. So I think one point which has sort of made me become a better player is, you could criticize this in UKTC, is that the 5 missions you'll play in all the tournaments are the same. And it's sort of just allows me to sort of think, like, this is the deployment I follow every single game up when I play. In this mission here, Crucible of Battle, I believe it is. And this is basically, this is the deployment layout I always follow. So you can see Gaunt's Ghosts are deployed quite safely, quite far back. It's a Death Corps of Krieg tucked into this terrain piece. It's a Limonros battle tank tucked in terrain with the Taurox for the scout move here. A mortar squad here, a mortar squad there, roughly speaking. It might be a little bit out of place. Def Corps Engineers here for the scout move. Regal Dawn Tank Commander, Def Corps of Krieg, Limon Rust Punisher, Gatling Cannon, and then Jungle Fighters here, where crucially they can either go like that, scout move 6, or if your opponent goes first, they can basically hide in this deployment here. Off the board is obviously then Jungle Fighters in the Taurox, the Scion Def Blob in Deep Strike, Limon Rust Battle Tank, and Exterminator Limon Rust sat in reserves. Now, I think what you put in reserves is pretty crucial, because obviously it gives you a lot more flexibility where they go, and it's obviously putting more stuff in reserves gives you more options later, but then it also makes your initial deployment a bit weaker, and if your opponent does rush you, and it'll basically control where you could come into reserves. But in this instance, I decided to basically put also the autocannon Limon Rust in reinforcements, because given that he had Mortari and John, I wanted to make sure I had a way to accurately point at that guy with something relatively nasty and apply additional AP. Now, I think, as I think about this game, it was really close for most of it. And I think thinking back to the way John approached the game, which is totally cool, is I don't think he applied enough pressure on me, because he had basically one of the Death Shroud blobs in Deep Strike and one on the board. Now, I personally would have put both in Deep Strike, because they only move 5, and you can basically, movement block them. And if you Deep Strike 2, it would have actually made my life a whole lot tougher. But what ended up happening over the course of the game is basically he had the big blob of Typhus and Poxwalkers here, which moved forward. He had Cultist here, Cultist there. And then I think what he crucially probably did, which is a bit aggressive, is he actually debussed the Plague Marines here. They charged into some dude here, and then they just got battered by a Regal Dawn Tank Commander and some other shooters, which blew them up. Now, one definitely fun part of this was actually, I had the Regal Dawn here, and at this point we're all taking pretty bad casualties. He had Mortarion here, which is cleaning up a tank. Mortarion moved, I overwatched with a Regal Dawn Tank Commander and killed him in Overwatch. So I think he had about 12 wounds left, and basically I got through like 2 or 3 multi-melter shots, which was crazy. And then got like loads of the main cannon shots through, loads of the little cannon shot through, and obviously because he got lethals, that's when it's very, very strong. And obviously Overwatch is a massive gamble, but at that point I was like, I have to get rid of this dude, and I managed to. But interestingly, that tank after, which was here, the Exterminator, got blown up by some Predator Annihilators, which actually killed it. But as I said, a very close game. I managed to win this by 3 points, with a crucial point which gave it to me, which actually sabotaged on this turn here. Now, something I was very disciplined with was making sure that when my Scion Death Blob died, the 10-man died, I always reinforced them, because that obviously is a Deep Strike piece which can be used in the late game. What happened is, I think they died in turn 3. I Deep Struck them in turn 4 here, or whenever the sequencing of the turn was. Started to recover assets in his backfield, and basically he was then able to basically point 2 Predator Annihilators at them, here and here, and basically left them on one dude. He even bloody charged one tank into them and left that guy alive, and that lone Scion managed to do recover assets, which basically meant I got the 6 here, and you can obviously see here, we're behind enemy lines, managed to get 3, with that Scion being alive, and obviously Mark for Death I couldn't score, but a very close game. You can see basically, I lost the primary, because killing more Death Guard than Guardsmen was pretty bloody hard, but then of course on the secondaries, I managed to do very strongly, and you can see poor John didn't do that well here. And things like behind enemy lines, if you get it late game and your opponent's managed to keep you quite far back, that's when you struggle to do that. Obviously, if you've got no deep strike, no uppy downy, that's when you're going to struggle. And you can see poor John basically scored a pretty weak secondary game on turns 3 and 4, which obviously gave me the game. But yeah, super close. You can see Mortarion there. This little nice battle tank could charge into the little crab blight hall the thing, and Mortarion came around, charged him and chopped him in half, and then he got Overwatch, which was amazing. So yeah, off to a good start. Great game into Death Guard. I had to basically always, and it was really good. John was always telling me, watch out for contagion range, because once you're within 9 inches in certain turns, you're -1 toughness, -1 ballistic skill, weapon skill, and my daughter is coughing in bed. All right, so a good start, and then into game two, there's the mission Terraform and Swift Action, where battleline units can advance, fall back, and perform actions. And Terraform is if you conduct an action on an objective, goes off next turn for 2 points. My opponent was a lovely guy called Luke, playing Grey Knights, and I'm playing Grey Knights in ages. All I know is they could do a lot of like movement, uppy, downy stuff, but he had 2 Librarians, Castellan Crow, an individual character, Caldor Drago attached to some dudes, 2 Terminator squads, Strike squad, Inceptor squad, 2 Dreadknights, a Paladin squad, Purifiers. Now I can't tell you what all these units do, but I do know they have loads of shots. One of them was getting at crap loads of shots, can't tell you which one. But something that Luke did say as we started the game is he was super worried about the tanks, my tanks, actually dealing with them. So I think there are some lethal hits across the list, but definitely not enough to sort of really be consistently killing tanks. So just like I was saying for the previous deployment, is that I've played this one enough that I know roughly the overall plan. Basically the plan with this is that I went first this time. I scout move the Taurox onto the objective. I disembark some jungle fighters onto the objective, and they start to terraform the objective turn 1. Now turn 1 I actually got cleanse and establish locus, so I managed to cleanse here with the Taurox, and jungle fighters start to terraform. I then fed out some jungle fighters here and basically tried to be fancy and basically string them back into the terrain piece. So when they do take casualties, at least I can kill them off and have guys survive in the terrain piece, because every model counts here. And then a mortar squad basically comes in here and they can do the established locus close to the center. Now, having played this loads of times, as I said, is basically this is if you want to get all fancy and strategic. This is your expansion objective, so you want to always be holding this. And the way I typically hold it is through loads of OC and denying my opponent it via firepower. So I basically would then move up the jungle fire death core here for even more OC. And basically over here, given this is Luke's expansion objective, you want to have enough junk to chuck on there, particularly high OC junk, and turn off his primary, and opportunity to terraform as much as possible. So the jungle fighters came out, they would die. The death core came out, they would die. And actually in this matchup, I found the Punisher actually did a bit of damage. Turn 1, it basically got to poke its nose here and shoot a bunch of, I think, strike squad dudes here. Killed like 2.5 dudes for dev wounds, and basically picked them up, dropped them back down here. They murdered a load of dudes on this objective. It trundled forward, sprayed them with flamers, and punished Gatling cannon shots and killed some. But actually in Luke's turn 1, he basically yeeted most of his army at me. He basically put both of the Dreadknights, which could movement shunt somehow, can't tell you how, basically over here and over here. One of them shot the Rogal Dawn, did like 2 damage. Basically charged the Rogal Dawn and basically banged on its hull and did like another 3 damage, unfortunately. Now, this one here basically charged into the Taurox and did deceptively less wounds than I thought. But then basically, given I had loads of tanks, they kept the Rogal Dawn in combat. Limon Rust Battle Tank comes out here. Exterminator Limon Rust comes here. This one then basically, basically the way I shot it was this Taurox fell back. So the Rogal Dawn tank commander fired its blast weapons into this Dreadknight, its multi-melters into the Dreadknight in combat, and basically then it was just a game of anything blastable from this tank was shooting in there, and anything non-blastable was going into the Dreadknight here. And given they're only toughness 8, they basically disappeared in a puff of smoke against multi-melters. Over the course of the game, basically, I managed to almost table poor Luke. By the end of it, he had like 2 models. Where basically, I think his turn was super aggressive because he had, Dreadknight here, Dreadknight there, Terminators here, Terminators there, a Strike Squad there, and they obviously are quite resilient, but I just battered the crap out of them with almost everything I had, and basically managed to sort of just remove all these units. So it was a pretty strong victory for me. Lucky me, getting 90 to 54. You can see basically the primary, given I terraformed turn 2, and poor old Luke only held his home objective and only terraformed at the end of the game, I basically had a very strong primary game, and then also the secondary game was so strong because I basically full board control. And obviously you can see poor Luke was running out of units, and by the end of it he didn't have much left, so a very strong victory for me. So off to a second good game for Jeff. Right, in the last game is then the mission Scorched Earth and Inspired Leadership. Scorched Earth was basically if you burn an objective in Not your deployment zone, you get 5 points if it's in the center or 10 points if it's opponent. Now this is playing into Blood Angels with a guy called Nico, who's part of one of the group chats for London Wargaming group I'm part of. And he plays Blood Angels, and I know Blood Angels quite well because one of my TTS pals, Adam King, who's also a patron, plays loads of TTS and Blood Angels, and I know them enough that they will get in your face and make a mess of your army. So he's taking a captain with jump pack, Dante, Death Company with jump pack, the Sanguinanor. It's then 2 Assault Intercessor squads with jump packs. It's a Bile Predator, which I've never seen before, which is super cool, but it's got 2 flamers. It's got the Salt keyword on all its flamers. The Bile Flame Storm is basically a D6 plus 3, 18-inch 622, I think, damage flamer, so Cook's Infantry. Death Company with jump pack, Inceptor squad, Infiltrate, 3 Predator Destructors, which are basically a really cheap chassis, which packs a fair bit of punch. The only thing with them is, given they're only AP3 and las cannons, it means against, you know, Regal Dawns and Luminous battle tanks, you've got a 4-up save, which is still really good. It's then Sanguine Guard, a big blob and a small blob, Scout squad. And having played them enough, I know this army will hurt you when they connect. And definitely where the damage comes is in the Sanguine Guard. Once they connect with you, they do nasty things to your army. Now, with that in mind, knowing all the jump packs are there, I basically sort of over-concentrated trash in a line here. Now, I actually went second, and going second in this mission is actually good because it means you can burn an objective while scorched earth at the end of the game. So that's also something which works in your favour if you go second. Now you can see I basically had loads of trash in the Death Corps engineers here. They scout move, Mortar Squad scout moves, and the Jungle Fighters also scout move. And basically I set up a load of trash here, basically being quite worried about potentially Nico bum rushing me with loads of dudes. And he actually did that. So the jump pack captain, Death Company dude had an enhancement. He could scout move, and then he basically moved 12. And yeah, he scout moved, then moved 12, and then basically charged into the Mortar Squad, Jungle Fighters, and Lemon Rust Battle Punisher with Gatling Cannon. He murdered the Mortar Squad. He left the Jungle Fighters with 1 dude left, and basically was in combat with this tank here. Now, this tank was on about 7 wounds, so I was like, right, it's gonna live if it gets enough support another turn. And what basically ended up happening is, given it's got triple flamers and the Punisher Gatling Cannon can shoot everything in combat, and I think I managed to clear off like, I probably think about 4 of the 6 guys that are in combat with me, and then basically a tank shock the Regal Dawn tank commander into combat as well. Now that forward pressure Nick applied was actually quite good, because in turn 2 I got area denial, where simply you have to be within 3 inches of the center. But given the Death Corps engineers had been tagged, and even with a 9-inch move via move, they basically couldn't get onto the center to get me area denial. Then basically the way the game played out is basically the Torx always goes here. It basically drops out the Jungle Fighters there to hold the objective. The Death Corps are there. Lemon Rust Battle Tank is sat there. And basically what ended up happening is Nick kept feeding me trash to clog me up. He then put some jump pack intercessors in here and basically clogged this up a bit more. He actually killed off the Punisher that blew up from some las cannons. So that was dead. And the Regal Dawn tank commander was stuck in combat with some the jump pack intercessors, which didn't matter because, again, it's got multi-melters and melters and autocannons, so they can shoot in combat. At least they can do something. But a crucial stage of the game was roughly in turn 3. Nick pushed out the Sanguine Guard 6-man blob with Dante, so super stabby unit. Basically, it was a 5-inch charge into the Death Corps engineers. However, the Regal Dawn tank commander was very closely positioned to them. And again, not being a charging expert, the way to basically do it is you declare 1 unit for the charge, and then if you make a big enough roll, say if this actually was, say, a 7-inch charge, we don't want to risk it, you basically roll the charge, which in this case was a 5-inch charge, and if you get a 7, you basically can land there, and then you can like do some jank and touch other units. I'm not to explain this too well, but that was his idea. He rolled a 5-inch charge, which made the charge of the Death Corps engineers, and given he can reroll the charge for free because of the army rule, detachment rule, whatever it is, he decided to reroll the charge and got a 4. So he actually failed the charge into the engineers, which means Dante was sat here with his dudes right in the open, looking pretty exposed. Now, one thing which was a bit of a miscommunication between the two of us is he also had some Def Company guys here on the objective. So we had poor old Dante sat there, sitting with his arse in the breeze, and also some Def Company guys. And he actually started to burn this objective with the Def Company. Now, I didn't know he was doing that. I think I misheard him. But ended up what happening then is basically, then this unit's dead. I basically plowed into him a Lemon Russ battle tank, the autocan Lemon Russ, the Scion Def Blob. They blasted away. Like this actually took, and plus also, I think that the Regal Tank Commander, like 3 units had to basically blast to reliably kill Dante and his friends, because I think he had Armor Contempt as well. But then I totally didn't realise that basically the Def Company squad was actually scorching, because I would have killed them as well. But by the end of the game, I managed to basically kill most of Nico's stuff. And basically the way the game finished was I had the Lemon Russ tank here, another one over here. I reinforced the Scion, so I actually had 2 Scion blobs. So I had the command squad here, and then the 10-man there. And then basically in my turn 5, which was crucial, Nico had 3, I think, dudes basically in combat here, just normal Space Marines. The Sanguinanor had basically picked him up via a stratagem, dropped him himself in here for Bon Henry lines, and he had the Inceptors on the unit, on the objective here. Now, my final cards were basically Overwhelming Force and no prisoners, which means I had to basically kill a unit on an objective, which were dudes here. I had to kill 3 units to get 5 points, and also I was burning over here. Now, basically, I'll jump to the scores. You can see it's a super close game, where basically this turn here was crucial. Yeah, so if I didn't kill 3 things, I would have been 2 points behind, which actually means Nico would have won by a point. If I didn't kill something on an objective, which was this last unit sat in this objective here, I would have also lost by 3, yeah? So it came to a super close game. You can see our primary is even because I burnt at the 5th turn, and Nico burnt in the 4th turn. And that, again, I didn't hear him say he did that, but he obviously did say it. But if he hadn't said, if I knew that, I would have killed them, and the game would have played a different way, whatever. But yeah, managed to get that super close game. You can see the early pressure reapplied basically cost me established locus because I couldn't get into the center. And then also area denial, which was obviously huge as well. So as said, as per the title of the video, I actually came 3rd. So 3rd of about 32 players. And actually there were quite a few guard players. Another guy called Martin Cooper, I know is a very strong guard player in the UK, came 1st. You can see actually battered all his opponents, 97, 99, 98. Jim is in my team in Birmingham, international team tournament, beginning of May, which is super cool to see Jimmy doing well. And there were 2 other guard players as well. I think one was playing combined, one was playing mech assault. So Jeremy playing Astra Militarum, and also Angus playing Astra Militarum as well. So yeah, super happy to have come 3rd, boosting the guard combined arms win rates at long last, and still doing very well with combined arms. Though I think with a balanced data slate, well, it'll be a few more months, probably sometime in June, I reckon we'll get a slight adjustment. I don't think guard is over the top, but given we're still doing well, and I actually know a chap in London called Gustavo, he actually came 1st in the Sheffield GT in the UK, which is about 200 players with combined arms, so they're doing very, very well. I think we'll have a bit of a points adjustment, nothing crazy coming up. Now, the last part of the video is then basically looking at what I'm going to optimize. So as said, I think the 2 optimization points is 2 mortar squads and the Def Corps engineers. Now, as said, the mortar squads will be great into orcs, great into Aldari, which is super squishy. And I know as soon as I make this change, I'll basically play loads of orcs and Aldari and miss 2 mortar squads. But I think actually, I'm thinking about it, is given that these either act as a backfilled screen, which you can obviously see as I've used them here, or they're used as trash in the center. I basically always want loads of stuff to basically be held in the center, be it in here, obviously in this deployment, and also here in this deployment here. I want loads of trash to feed the center, turn off the center, and even just movement block my heavy hitters. So I've actually opted to basically drop the mortar squad, and unfortunately drop the Def Corps engineers because I just finished painting my 5 guys. you know, you're getting out a fair bit of mortal wounds, but at 70 points for only 5 dudes, I think they're just a bit too expensive. If they're like 60 points, even 65, then it would be an easy decision to make them versus, you know, some other battle lines. So what I'm thinking at the moment is I'll basically probably pragmatically just swap out the jungle fighters for the mortar squad. And then actually I would also then downgrade the Def Corps engineers to the Scout Sentinel, and actually then take the enhancement of Grand Strategists on the Silent Def Blob so they can give themselves 2 orders, because currently they can give themselves 1, take the command rod, and then you can basically give them 2 orders. So that's what I'm thinking. I think overall the list feels quite good. Again, you could definitely sort of question why I don't have more Rogal Dawns. They're a very strong chassis, but I think in combined arms, because you get lethal hits, these are all fine. Yeah, you know, strength 10, AP 1, flat 3 damage. You can boost it via AP buffs. But again, having only strength 9 or strength 9 twin linked, it can be quite worrying, but obviously if you get lethal hits, that is the force multiplier, which means you will be wounding big nasty stuff on 5s or 6s lethal hits. But again, as I said, I didn't play loads of big nasty models. Anyone I really played was obviously in Death Guard, where I managed to kill Paul Mortari in Overwatch, which was fantastic, by the Rogal Dawn Tank Commander. But yeah, so yeah, very happy with that. Obviously managed to come 3rd, which was a fantastic result. Yeah, this list is feeling quite good. Interestingly, actually call out to some of my patrons, is I originally was thinking I basically had Kazkin with Akkadian Castellan, and brought two blobs, one with a Castellan, one by itself of Kazkin, as a replacement for the Silent Def Blob. But then Tank Commander Watchdog Van Etten, Guardsman Easingwood, and also Guardsman Medicaid Rolf. Some of my patrons on my Discord were saying, just take Silence, man. The Def Blob is still a really good unit. It's expensive now. It's more expensive, but it does the job. And definitely it did do great work, because obviously playing into power armored Space Marines, they are the perfect target for loads of plasma shots and hotshot volley gun shots. So yeah, obviously very happy, as I said, with my performance. Proud to have got 3rd in an RT again. Obviously got to play into a GT sometime soon to see how I go with much higher level of overall play skill. But I've got the team tournament coming in about 4 weeks. So any questions or comments on my games, the list I played, the general approach I take, let me know. I'd love to hear from you. I always read the comments, even if I just leave a little like YouTube like thing, it's like a little love heart, just shows I've seen the comments, so I value everything that you leave for me to read and enjoy. So yeah, hopefully enjoyable video for you to see how I go as I manage to basically somewhat improve in my gameplay. And if you enjoyed this video and want to support me, you can do so with a like, comment, or by subscribing. Watching my YouTube videos, or simply also becoming a channel member, also a Patreon Platoon member, or just watching my other videos and leaving likes, comments, and subscriptions. So super thanks to all my subscribers and Patreons. I super value contribution to me as I continue to make more videos in the Astra Militarum YouTube universe. Let's get your bayonet sharp, lascar oiled. Fair for the Emperor Strong. Patreon Platoon, sound off. Tank Commander Glenn, Tank Commander Watchdog Van Etten, Tank Commander Mitchell, Lieutenant Burke Nilsson, Lieutenant Smith, Colour Sergeant DuPont, Sergeants Adal, Scott, the Colonel Merrill, Veteran Gibson, Hall, Lundeen, Guardsman Beard, Coquelin, Easingwood, Hills, Malik, Nitin, Nguyen, Medicaid, Rolf, Tonkin, Conscript England, Evan Gunn, Goodwin, Honorary Members Bolgrim King, Psyker Smith, Sion Gaylard, Aquilin Nassim.